In the vast wilderness of ancient Syria, far from the noise of civilization, one man stood alone upon a pillar, a symbol of defiance against the limits of the human body and spirit. For 14,610 days, over 40 years, this man chose to live on a towering pillar, defying nature and time. His name was Saint Symeon the Stylite, and his story is one of the most extraordinary and mysterious in Orthodox Christianity. Why did he do it? And how did his life inspire generations of believers? This is his story. Saint Symeon was born in the Roman province of Cilicia around the year 390, in a small village near the borders of modern-day Turkey. His family was of humble means, working as shepherds, which would shape his early life in simplicity and silence. From a young age, Symeon displayed a sensitivity to spiritual matters that set him apart from other children. He was contemplative and curious, constantly asking questions about faith and the nature of God. When Symeon was 13, he experienced a moment of profound transformation while attending a church service, where the words of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount pierced his heart. The verse, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God," resonated deeply with him. This moment ignited an inner fire, leading him to seek a life completely devoted to God. At the age of 16, Symeon left his humble home and joined a local monastery, where his desire to live a life of intense devotion became immediately apparent. Unlike the other monks, Symeon pushed the limits of physical endurance in his pursuit of spiritual purity. He fasted for days, sometimes weeks, surviving on minimal sustenance and spending countless nights in uninterrupted prayer. His body grew frail and thin, yet his inner strength only seemed to intensify. It was as if the more he denied his flesh, the more his spirit flourished. Even as a novice, Symeon's unwavering commitment set him apart from others. His ascetic practices became legendary within the walls of the monastery, and soon his reputation for extreme holiness spread far beyond. However, this intense lifestyle quickly began to unsettle his fellow monks. His fasting was longer than anyone else's, his prayers more fervent, and his dedication to silence and solitude beyond what even the monastic community deemed acceptable. The other monks, though devout in their own right, began to see Symeon's practices as excessive, perhaps even disruptive to their own rhythm of communal life. His unrelenting pursuit of self-denial was simply too extreme for the structure of monastic life. Unable to reconcile his radical practices with communal living, the monastery elders eventually made the difficult decision to expel him. But Symeon remained undeterred. Rather than seeing this as rejection, he saw it as a divine sign, a call to deeper solitude. With nothing but his faith to guide him, he wandered into the harsh, unforgiving wilderness, seeking to isolate himself from the distractions of the world and focus solely on his relationship with God. After leaving the monastery, Symeon the Stylite was not at peace. The monastic life, with its disciplined prayers and communal silence, had provided him with a semblance of tranquility, but it had not fully satisfied his yearning for spiritual purity. He felt an overwhelming urge to escape further from the distractions and comforts of the world, seeking a deeper, more radical form of asceticism. His journey led him to the arid and mystical land of Telenissa, a place rich with ancient ruins and a timeless, desolate beauty. In this land, where the remnants of bygone civilizations whispered through the wind, Symeon experienced a profound vision that would alter the course of his life. In this vision, Symeon saw a celestial light illuminating a solitary pillar, stretching up into the heavens. The pillar was surrounded by a chorus of angelic figures, their voices resonating with divine harmonies that called out to him. The vision conveyed a powerful message. True spiritual elevation required not only a departure from worldly concerns, but also a literal ascent above the mundane. It was a call to rise above the ordinary, both physically and spiritually. Heeding this celestial calling, Symeon embarked on his new path. He discovered a stone pillar in Telanissa, though modest in height, only about 10 feet. It was the vessel through which he would realize his divine vision. As he ascended to this precarious perch, he felt a profound connection to the divine presence that had appeared to him in the vision. The pillar became his sanctuary, a place of isolation from the world's distractions where he could fully devote himself to prayer and contemplation. Symeon's life on the pillar was an extraordinary testament to his unyielding commitment to asceticism and spiritual purity. When he first ascended the modest stone pillar in Telanissa, the journey that lay ahead was one of immense physical suffering and spiritual trials. The pillar, though initially only 10 feet high, was a profound symbol of his departure from the comforts of his past life and his commitment to an extreme form of solitude and devotion. The harsh realities of his new existence became apparent almost immediately. The pillar exposed him to the relentless forces of nature. The scorching desert sun beat down upon him, turning his skin to leather and leaving him parched and vulnerable. Nights brought an unforgiving chill that pierced through his bones, testing his endurance in the most extreme ways. His minimal shelter offered no respite, and the lack of proper sleep compounded his suffering, causing him to drift between exhaustion and a constant state of heightened awareness. Yet, the physical discomfort was only one aspect of his trials. The pillar also became a battleground for intense spiritual challenges. The devil, determined to break Symeon's resolve, orchestrated a series of temptations designed to test his purity. Among the most notable was the ordeal involving a woman sent to seduce him, a test of his moral and spiritual fortitude. The devil's emissary was a woman of striking allure, sent with the specific purpose of undermining Symeon's spiritual discipline. She approached the pillar with seductive intent, seeking to entice him into a sinful liaison. Her presence was a deliberate attempt to exploit his isolation and the extreme nature of his ascetic life. The devil hoped that such a temptation would shatter his resolve and cause him to fall from his elevated state of grace. Yet, amid the trials, Symeon's life on the pillar was marked by an extraordinary sense of purpose and triumph. Despite the suffering, he became a beacon of wisdom and spiritual insight. Symeon's journey on the pillar was a profound blend of suffering, resistance, and spiritual triumph. His ability to endure the harsh conditions, resist temptations, and maintain a life of intense prayer exemplified the profound union of human endurance and divine grace. Symeon the Stylite's life on the pillar was marked by an extraordinary outpouring of miracles that significantly amplified his fame. Among the most compelling aspects of Symeon's renown were the miracles attributed to him. It was widely believed that his prayers held the power to heal the sick and bring peace to troubled souls. The reports of miraculous healings became a central theme in his legend. Stories abounded of individuals who, after suffering from chronic illnesses or severe afflictions, found relief and healing through Symeon's intercession. His reputation reached the highest echelons of power, attracting the attention of emperors and rulers. Both the Roman Emperor Theodosius II and Emperor Leo I sought Symeon's counsel, sending letters to him seeking his guidance on matters of state and faith. After 42 years atop the pillar, Saint Symeon the Stylite's extraordinary life came to an end on September 2nd, 459. Remarkably, he died in the very position he had maintained for decades, standing and praying. Despite the severe physical strain and isolation, Symeon remained in a state of spiritual focus until the moment of his passing. As the news of his death spread, his followers and the wider Christian community were deeply moved. His body was carefully and reverently removed from the pillar, a process that required considerable effort due to the height and the constraints of his ascetic perch. The descent was conducted with great solemnity, reflecting the respect and veneration his life had commanded. A grand funeral was held, attended by thousands of mourners, including the Patriarch of Antioch. The ceremony was not only a tribute to his spiritual achievements, but also a public acknowledgement of his influence and the profound impact he had made on Christian monasticism. His relics were distributed to various locations across the Christian world, further cementing his legacy. Symeon's legacy lived on through the establishment of stylitism, a new monastic tradition that emulated his extreme form of asceticism. Followers of stylitism would often choose to live atop pillars or other elevated places, inspired by Symeon's example. This practice symbolized a physical and spiritual ascent above the ordinary, mirroring Symeon's own journey. Even in death, Saint Symeon the Stylite remained a figure of profound mystery and inspiration. Known as the man who stood between heaven and earth, his life and death continued to resonate as a legend of faith and endurance. His story remains a powerful testament to the depths of human devotion and the enduring impact of extreme spiritual commitment.